There'd be a lot of learning, wouldn't there? New skills.
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah.
Everything from what feelings are to how to cope with, all of those feelings, and it's a really long journey for the person.
I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck, and we are
Gold Diggers.
It's not what you're thinking.
And we dig the gold out of everyday life stories.
Like today's guest.
My name's Danielle Lenord, and I think my gold is giving to community and promoting inclusion and diversity.
Honey, you're my sugar.
We've just had Danielle Lenord in, and she's just got a great story about what it's like to be a mum of children with disabilities and what that means for her and what that means for her children.
And I love the perspective that she eventually lands on after having to sacrifice so much in her life. I think this is going to be a great encouragement to all of us to have a little gratitude.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So we're here with Danielle today. Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for inviting me, ladies.
Well, I'm going to throw you right in the deep end because we're going to go straight in. And I want to know, was there ever a moment in your life where you felt your life was going in one direction, but an event happened or something happened that took you in an opposite direction?
Definitely. When my son was born, obviously that changes everyone's lives when you have children, but he was diagnosed with a disability at age 5. So the way that you think you're going is definitely the way that you're now going to be going. Yeah. But in hindsight, that's propelled me into what I do now. So it's given me more purpose than anything.
So you weren't aware before age 5 that he'd had the disability?
I was aware that there was, a few things that were where he looked different, but not particularly. We sort of really noticed it when he hit daycare. Yeah. And the teacher pointed it out.
So more developmental.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you then? Because, obviously 5 years into it, I guess for most parents when they realise their child has a disability, they're maybe a lot younger than that, or maybe it's, while they're still in gestation.
Yeah.
So coming to terms with that when they're 5 years old, what was that like for you?
In a way, it was sort of, you know that there's a little bit of difference there. So it gives you... it gives you like some closure in a way to, or, some comfort because at least you know. But at the same time, as a mum, you worry about what's going to happen to them long term. Will they be okay? How are you going to deal with this? It's a huge journey.
I guess the understanding too of what he's got once he's been diagnosed gives you a bit of a pathway to follow then, doesn't it?
Yeah, after the initial denial.
Yeah.
Which I think for a lot of parents is pretty normal. It's not something that you want to hear, but when people sit down and explain it to you, it's definitely, you just got to adapt and move forward, really.
Yeah, I know, because, there's been times in my life, for instance, that there's been something undiagnosed. Something's wrong. I think the not knowing sometimes is harder than the knowing.
Yeah.
Did you have that experience? Like, it was so frustrating. You knew something was wrong with it, but you just weren't getting a diagnosis or people taking you seriously?
Yeah, it was just hard to put your finger on it, I knew something was different. Because he's very bright, and it just gives you that confirmation, I suppose, that this is what it is and this is what you need to do. And then, we got all the reports and stuff and just worked on what we needed to.
So when a diagnosis comes in, what does that look like? Because your life would have changed then. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, because, your ideas of going back to work and all that sort of thing change pretty abruptly.
What did you do for work at the time?
I was banking. So
okay.
Pretty exciting, right?
Was it a relief? No.
Sort of banking, and then worked in building for a while. But it's definitely a life changer.
Yeah.
I guess as a child, when you're growing up thinking one day I'm going to be a mum, you don't kind of take that into consideration that you just have this beautiful image of being a mum with children and just that that way that it's going to go kind of thing. So it would have been quite a surprise to you, I guess.
Yeah, sort of confronting.
Yeah, I always think about that moment when, you know, you just think you're going to have this beautiful little baby, everything's going to be wonderful, and then you receive news like that for any parent, because it is something that just derails you, isn't it, really?
It's a bit of a spanner in the works, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, but, you know, they're their own kind of special too.
That's it, isn't it?
Yes,
He's the most beautiful, kind human. And it's been a big journey with, you know, all the therapy and stuff that you have to do, but he's getting there.
Yeah. And have you got a partner and other kids as well?
I don't now. I separated last year, so I'm currently supported by my parents, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter who's 16 as well.
Yeah. So your son requires full-time care, does he?
Yeah.
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 Okay. How old is he now?
He's 19.
Wow. Okay.
He's beautiful though.
Oh, of course.
It's great that you were saying how they're their own special, beautiful. I've spoken to a lot of mums who have had children with disabilities, and they say they wouldn't change it because they've grown so much with their beautiful children.
Yeah, and you know, it's taught me a lot of lessons in life. You know, you learn to be very grateful for the little moments. And some people might look at the things that you get so excited over as a daily occurrence, but when you know, people can be really rigid, and it's really hard for them to change or step out of that comfort zone because their anxiety is so high or whatever. Those small little wins are like huge, you know, huge, and you become really grateful for that. And I think that they've changed me as a person to be a lot more considerate and compassionate, you know.
And it's really great to have that perspective, and you often hear that from parents of children with disabilities. But there must have been a lot of sacrifices that you've had to make personally. So what were some of those, like what was that journey like for you?
I guess career, which, you know, at the end of the day, that's not the end of the world. You do feel quite socially isolated at times. And that's actually got me into what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because you talk to other parents, you know, who feel the same way, and you know, their children feel the same way, whether they're young children or older children, they still feel like they're segregated and isolated. So that's why I've started doing what I do.
There seems to be a lot more understanding around disabilities these days. Have you noticed changing attitudes over the years?
People are a lot more aware and a lot more accepting. I think there's still a long way to go.
So you're obviously in disability services now. So what is your role that you do?
A couple of years ago, I founded an inclusive rugby league program that we started here on the coast. Ran it through Queensland Rugby League, and we just did a pilot in 2022 with 5 or 6 kids, just to make sure that, you know, we've got everything. You know, all our procedures and supports and everything were okay. The QRL and NRL development teams come along and gave us a hand for a while. And then last year we ran our own program, and it grew to 10, I think. So we sort of doubled. And slow growth is good because we know we're getting it right. And then this year I think we've got 15. And this year we've partnered with the Kawana Dolphins and Noosa Pirates, and the NRL Dolphins are our community partner, which is pretty cool.
And how important is this to people with disabilities, to have that access to that?
It's extremely important. They come each Tuesday because for a lot of them it's their only social outlet. They feel like they belong there. And especially getting in with the clubs, you know, they're like with the rest of the community in there now. So it's just like they're part of their own little rugby league community, and they're accepted. And, you know, both the clubs are just amazing, the way that they've welcomed us in. And the Dolphins are great. The NRL Dolphins are great. They give me a lot of support. they took us out on the stadium, Sunshine Coast Stadium, earlier this year, and we did a run before the Dolphins-Titans game.
Yeah, okay.
And they were out on the big stadium, so that was pretty cool.
I just love how they can be involved in sports. I
Yeah.
think that's so important. Do you remember we had MC Wheels?
Yes.
Are you thinking of
Yes.
it? Do you know MC Wheels?
I saw him at Stories of Hope.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So one of our previous podcast guests was a guy called MC Wheels, had severe disabilities, was in a wheelchair, motorised wheelchair. And I remember him talking about them doing soccer, disability soccer. And we saw it a bit like Mario Karts, and they were, having a little kind
They
of
get
that
quite
as an
vicious, wouldn't they?
analogy. Yeah. But I just think that is so fabulous that, they don't have to be excluded from things because
Yeah.
of physical disabilities. And it is important because it opens up their world to so much more.
And you were
Yeah.
talking before about feeling isolated. So the sporting groups are just gold, aren't they?
Yes.
To pull people out and to join people together. When you were feeling isolated, is that kind of the first steps that you felt led to
Yeah.
create that community?
It was created for parents and, participants and
Yeah.
people with disabilities, so everyone gets to connect there together. We've got a group of parents there now. We're all friends, and we're going to lunch on Sunday, which is really nice. The boys, they socialise outside of the program now, which is nice. Like, that's the goal, bringing them all together. And we had Kerrod Walters come and do his guest training session on Tuesday because he's our ambassador, and they go crazy when he's there, which is nice. And, that's amazing.
So what is that journey been like for you? So, as obviously you've lived with this now about 15 years or something like that. That connection for you has been important. I would probably imagine in the early days you were just very consumed with caring for your son. How has that journey developed?
I think, you need to put a lot of work in at the start, just learning. You've got to...
There'd be a lot of learning when they're new
I'm
skills.
trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah.
Everything from what feelings are to how to cope with, all of those feelings. And it's a really long journey. Mainly
Plus your
for
own
the
feelings.
person, but also for the parents and the family, and trying to get everyone to understand, because sometimes people say they do and they don't. And it's hard sometimes because you can see how stressed they are or how they feel different. And I just want to change the world so they don't.
Yeah. But how much were you you must have been dependent on other people to just come and support you, because you've got other kids as well.
Yeah.
And support your family.
Yeah. I've been lucky. My parents have been great.
Yeah.
Mum especially. She's always there, and my husband was there. And just they see their dad off and on, so. Just got some good friends, and sometimes, we'll ring each other up and say, geez, I'm not having a good day today.
Yeah.
And it's really good when they've got kids, similar, and you can sort of just have a bit of a chat, and just makes you feel better.
So important to have those people, isn't it, where they can just see you on your bad days, and they'll just...
And there's no judgment.
and they love you. I know. They're worth their weight in gold.
They certainly are. And, there's others too. There's... just people that you reach out to at times because they're either, in the industry, or they're doing mental health or whatever, and just getting their input on a few things. We had an amazing psychiatrist who just, I think she changed the way that I looked at things, just initially it's like, just keep everything in line so that he's happy. And she's like, we don't want to do that. He needs to adapt. So I want you to just throw it all out the door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? He's going to lose it. But did a little. But I tell you, the independence that it's created out of doing that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're an amazing mum.
Oh, thank you.
With amazing kids.
I do my best, like most of us, I suppose.
But where do you find that time for yourself?
my time, believe it or not, I actually enjoy doing the footy. So
Yeah.
that's just like my escape.
You're a footy mum.
Yeah. Instead of a soccer mum.
A soccer mum, that's the word, yeah.
I like doing that. Sometimes, me and my daughter will go out, have lunch, do a few things, catch up with some friends, just try and do regular things like that. Just, it's calming. I've started doing a bit of yoga, which is new. Not real great, but working on it. So, yeah.
And you were saying earlier when we were chatting that you love the great outdoors.
I do. Not that I get there too often, but I love the beach.
Yeah.
It's calming.
Yeah.
But, Kerry was saying that the colour blue actually calms you. So just looking at the ocean and the sky and stuff.
It's so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, have you ever heard of an organisation called Sunshine Butterflies?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to go to their facility, which is probably about an hour north of here. And the services they have for people, these are adults with disabilities, was remarkable. I loved it. And the feeling I got just being in and around, there was so much love, there was so much acceptance. They were just free. They were singing. I think we were there on a day, the music day and a cooking day. And I'm so inspired by the lady's story there. Leanne is her name, because she got to a point with her child who has disabilities where he'd graduated from high school, is now an adult, was looking around, how can he connect and, still be on that learning journey. And there was just nothing available at all. So she created it, which I thought was amazing. But watching the importance for them all connecting and just having that support and opportunity to cook, they've got a farm up there, and how important is that for your son now? He's 19. What does life look like for him on a daily basis?
At the moment, he's not, about a year ago, he was diagnosed with some physical ailments. Him and my daughter have both got POTS, which is... Oh, yeah. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's the balance issue, isn't it?
It's orthostatic tachycardia. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. So, sitting to standing, exercising, the heat, faint, their blood pressure drops. It's pretty debilitating. My daughter was really badly debilitated for a long time, and she's just starting to get better after 5 years, but some people don't. Wow. He has that, and he's also developed tachycardia and bradycardia since he had COVID last year. I don't know if it's a trigger. I'm not trying to open up that conversation. But
we'll park that one.
Yeah, we will. So it's been a huge journey for him health-wise the last 12 months, and he's just not getting to do too much.
Yeah.
But
so he's really dependent on you then.
Yeah, he is. But he's the most beautiful soul.
You'd be on high alert all the time then, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So what are the things he's able to do, and that he can enjoy within the home?
He's quite bright. Both of my kids are quite bright. He loves the Xbox and
he's just a normal
Star
teenager.
Wars. Yeah, he is. He's pretty much a normal teenager. He likes the movies. We went and saw Star Wars because it came out at the movies a couple of months ago. It's just getting out at the moment because his heart rate is pretty high.
Yeah.
And the medication, we had to take him off the medication because it was making his low heart rate go too low.
So how do you as mum cope with this? Because there's obviously some emergency situations that can happen in any moment, and you must be on high alert all the time.
I am, but he has really learnt to control it himself, believe it or not. He does his breathing. He's got his watch. He watches his heart rate. We had 6 ambulance trips in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was a bit scary.
Yeah.
But when we knew what it was, he's extremely resilient. They both are. Like Alana's journey with POTS was really bad. She was fainting 12 times a day at one stage and couldn't go to school anymore.
How do they
But,
cope with that with the sport that they're doing? Does that enhance it? Or?
Yeah, he can't. He
No.
can't do sport.
Yeah.
She can at times. If she's feeling okay. She went and ran on at the stadium when we played with the Broncos last year. So yeah.
And Danielle, so you have founded a foundation. Can you tell us about that?
Lavender Sky.
Lavender Sky, yes.
So I founded Lavender Sky just to sit over Connect League, where we'll really be promoting the social and mental health of people with disabilities.
Can you tell us what Connect League is?
Connect League is the rugby league program that I do for people. It's an all abilities program, so anyone can come along.
Yeah.
And we have support workers that join in as well.
Yeah.
And we do some league drills, and we're working with Kawana and Noosa.
And so
to do some
Lavender
training.
Sky sits over that, is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be opening up a few other things. Dr. Dinesh Palapana,
Right.
do you know him?
No.
He's Queenslander of the Year, I think, 2021. He's my ambassador for Lavender Sky. So he's actually just helping me on working through some programs for disability and mental health that we've sort of got going on in the background at the moment. But
Do they go in hand in hand often? Yeah.
yeah, I think the mental health rate is something like 10 times higher. I'd have to check
Yeah.
it, but it's something like 10 times higher than just, your typical
Yeah.
person. So it's, it's tough.
So you've really been thrown into this whole other world, but you seem to be thriving in it and inventing and creating in this space.
It's, I guess you either let it consume you or you do something about it. really.
Yeah, I mean, where do you find the time? Because it sounds like the needs
Organisation?
of it sounds, yeah, I mean, the needs of your children obviously demand a lot of your time. So for someone to actually think, oh, I know, I'm going to go start an organisation and, get involved in all these things, that takes another big leap of, probably a leap of faith, but also, dividing of you and your time. So what was it that made you decide, I'm going to go and do this?
My daughter has had some pretty significant mental health, so that's a journey in itself. I won't get too much into it because it's her personal business. But that is a really tough journey. That's one that probably makes me pretty emotional, really.
Yeah.
But it's either, I don't know, I just feel like it's sink or swim, You've just got to I've just had to try and turn adversity into purpose. That's the way I deal with things, and not everyone can do that.
And was it the trigger there, like particularly with your daughter's mental health, the desperation that you feel through that? You think,
It's hard.
Yeah, and that kind of is your drive to want to be able to help others to do that.
Yeah, because, if you can help another 1, 2, 5, 10, 100 people,
Yeah,
and them and their parents don't need to go through similar things or those sorts of hardships, it's just, you don't know where to turn. And when they've got a disability, it's sort of like, I don't know, sometimes I think you're just treated differently.
yeah, it's great
Well,
to
you feel like you are.
yeah. Explain that to me. Why would you?
I won't use myself as an example. I'll just use a couple of people that I've spoken to where their children have actually had to go into hospital because of mental health. And I know quite a few, and they go in there with their disability, and because their anxiety and, their emotional regulation isn't the same, when they leave, they're sort of taken in to calm down, and then they leave and go home. Where do they go? The wait list for psychologists and psychiatrists up here on the coast is pretty lengthy. And I just think a lot of it's social isolation, if I can get it out. They don't, chatting to them, they don't have a sense of belonging or self-worth. And
Are there specialist mental health practitioners that deal with disability? Because I'm sure must be a very different practice to, you know, people that aren't disabled in some way.
I think that generally most of them do everybody,
Yeah, okay.
and they should really be trained in everybody anyway, shouldn't they? But I just found for me that was the hardest journey, the mental health. You know, it's difficult to deal with. Yeah, let's just say.
Yeah. And you've got support around that, or?
I do. We were seeing specialists for quite some time, and I feel we're sort of on the road out, but not quite there yet. You know, you take each day as it comes, and hope it's a good day, and just, you know, it goes in waves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You sort of think it's going up a little bit, and then it'll go back down, and then it's back up, and then back down, and I guess that bottom wave, you just want it to keep getting that little bit higher, so things improve, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
It's understanding, you know, it's understanding, and just you can't make someone feel a certain way.
Yeah.
They have to sort of, to a certain degree, do that themselves. So
Yeah.
it goes for all of us, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, true. What do you find are some of the key points that help you to help your daughter get through a day?
Sometimes just sitting there, you know, listening,
Yeah.
not pushing things on her. I guess just supporting her in what is right for her and what she can cope with at the time. I think that's been the key.
Yeah. And as a mother, you're so devoted, aren't you? Like, we're so attached to our children. We'd do anything for them, wouldn't we? So it's a great relationship where you can revolve your life around them, and you can just put that time and energy into making their lives better. Sounds like you've got really good support around you as well, with the developing a foundation that draws other families together, so that everyone knows that they're not going through this alone.
Yeah, and that is the point, you know, and that's projected to parents too.
Yeah.
Because it can be a lonely journey sometimes.
I love this sense of gratitude that you have, though. Like, you're seeing the beauty in your son. Yeah, there's lots of trials and there's lots of challenges that have presented themselves along that journey. But everything I've said, you know, you're talking about gratitude, and how important has that been in you rising above your circumstances and being able to continue through life?
It's my saviour.
Yeah.
You know, at times you feel like you're drowning, and just have to take a step back and think, I've just got to be grateful for what I have.
What an incredible
do it.
perspective. That's such a beautiful thing, you know, because so much has been taken from you, really. And particularly in the early days when you were on this track, and then suddenly, you know, your life's going in a different direction, and you can feel so robbed in life. So to come to the point where I'm doing the gold now, aren't I? But you come to the point where, you know, you can actually look at life and feel grateful.
Yeah.
I am.
It's remarkable and amazing, and such an inspiration that I think, you know, no matter what we've gone through in life, if we can all get to that point.
Oh, yeah. And, like, don't get me wrong, I have my days.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure most mums do.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you'll have a cry in the kitchen or a cry in the corner, and it's just like, all right, pull yourself together. This is what we've got to do. Do you know what I mean? And what I do helps me feel like I'm giving something back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's my coping mechanism to a certain degree. It's just the way that I deal with my life and what I've gone through, and hope that I can sort of support other people so their journey's a bit easier.
Is there something you do in particular to, like, do you take a few minutes each day to stop and just look and consider and maybe write it down? Is there a process you go through?
I have a book and I write all my ideas in there because my mind never stops.
Yeah, right.
So I'll think of something, and, you know, the notes in your phone, I'll type it in there. Oh, I could do this, or why don't I do this? And then just try and incorporate it all into something that might work.
Yeah,
So
I think if you
long-term.
go into the notes in someone's phone, you really are walking around someone's brain, aren't you?
Yeah.
Don't look at mine; it's really scary.
I like how they all order them now, and this is the today's notes and
Yeah.
yesteride's notes.
I have a
yeah.
really deep, insightful thought, and then my shopping list.
yeah.
That's a good. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I should put my shopping list because I'm
Yeah.
always forgetting something.
So on that note, what are your dreams for the future? What have you got planned?
Just trying to build a more inclusive society, really, and bridging the gap with the segregation.
Practically, what does that look like?
I'm just really starting with what I'm doing with Connect League. Instead of, when we first started the program, we were over on our own on a field, with a few people doing some training. But now we're in with other clubs because they've supported us and they've welcomed us. And I think we just need a lot more of that. And there's a lot of really good community organisations on the coast. We have Bamboo Projects. Chris from there comes and coaches on a Tuesday night, and Mark and Gay from NDED, they sponsor an inclusive.
We've had them on the podcast.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
How beautiful are they, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing another inclusive rugby league carnival where we get a lot of people together just celebrating that, and that's under Lavender Sky, and they actually helped by sponsoring that last year with a friend of mine from Sydney who runs like a respite from Divine 1111 where people can just go and stay down there, and she's on 20 acres of this beautiful pocket of land. And
I like this idea of the integration, that it's not just,
it's just the key, right?
Yeah, so good. I think our world is moving more towards that kind of model, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if we all get in there and we can all help each other, it just enforces the message,
Yeah.
And where does the name Lavender Sky come from?
Lavender was my nan's favourite colour,
Yeah.
and she was my person when she was here. I lost her a while ago. And just sky, because sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Lovely.
I love that.
And it will be.
So what does the future look like for you as a mum, as, a founder of this organisation? What do you see ahead for you?
I'd like to get a little bit more into the mental health side, which is what we're working on at the moment, in discussions with a few different organisations to try and support that, and just really doing something sort of trailblazing, I guess, in that respect. Keeping the league program going and growing that. We've had discussions with some other pockets in southeast Queensland that we're looking at moving into, which would be great.
So good.
And supporting my kids.
And
Yeah.
Danielle, what was so now that you're this far along in your journey, if you come across a mum who's just starting out in that journey, what would you say to her? What piece of advice would you give her?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of people around to support you, and connect with people where you don't feel like you're isolated. You can just sort of give them a call, keep in contact with people that can just help you along the journey. Listen to your child. They know what's best for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've been pushed in different directions, and it just made things worse. So I think listen to your child. You know your child better than anyone, and if they say there's something wrong or something they need, then they do.
Yeah. Because you mentioned the word isolation a few times, and I imagine that is a feeling felt across the board for many parents.
Because many parents say that.
Yeah. What in particular should a parent do, or is within their capability to do, to prevent that or to combat that?
I think for me, I have a few friends with kids with disabilities, so for us to sort of get together and just be able to have a chat, like on the phone, or you just message each other through Messenger. Are you going okay? A friend of mine's having a bit of a hard time at the moment, so just checking in. Just like anything, just check in and make sure that they're okay, and just building some support for yourself with the right people that that
Going
that
through
will-
similar experiences.
because you
sort
get
of-
each other.
Yeah. That's probably what the beauty of the sport that you do. And, you know, as we said, you're a soccer mum. It enables that community, doesn't it, for the parents?
Yeah, because we
to
sit there
really-
on the sideline talking about, you know, what your week's like. You know, has anyone, you know, experienced this, and, you know, that sort of thing. And one of the mums, Jo, her son Lockie's in our thing. Her and I just did the mental health first aid together, which was really good. So, you know, that's something that we can
I've
also
done that
incorporate.
as well, yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. I think anybody,
Everybody
is
should do it.
should do mental health first aid, because it's helps you to just really be knowledgeable and understand the signs and, you know, some of those first responses that we need to have. So, and you mentioned a lady, Kerry, that we all know.
Kerry Atherton.
I know she does that as well. So
Yeah, that's
I
who I
remember
did
you
mine
doing
through.
that. You love that course, didn't you?
I did, because I just thought
Yeah.
it was just something you put in your tool belt for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be working with people with disabilities or mental health disorders of any sort, but just to have that awareness and not, because
What was some
they're in
key
our
points?
community all the time.
Yeah. What were some key points that came from you from
To
that?
do it just
Yeah.
about like how to approach somebody. I think you know, if somebody's having an episode of some sort, it gives you skills of how to approach to them, how to talk to them, not talk at them, just kind of, you know, the gentle approach of how the terminology that you use.
So what kind
the
of
tone
situation?
that you use.
What kind of situation are we talking
Oh,
about?
now you're
here?
testing my memory now.
Or both of you can answer this.
Feel free to chip in here, Danielle.
I feel like
yours. It's algae, remember?
Yeah,
Approach,
that was it.
listen.
Algae, yeah.
because I feel like this is really useful information for
It
people
is.
to know.
But it's about gentle, like your gentle tone, just a very calm tone, nothing that's kind of reactionary at all.
Yeah, nothing judgmental.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also assessing the situation. Are they, you know, because they might be flailing their arms, they might be actually getting quite aggressive.
Yeah.
What is the situation like around them?
Yeah.
And that.
It's like,
So
are
I'll have
you
to go and
safe?
refresh myself on
Yeah,
the points.
that
Thanks,
sounds,
Beck.
That sounds really good, though.
She jumped you right in.
I put
know
you on
she
the
did.
spot, didn't I? That's good to know. Yeah, because some people are also just touch sensitive as well, so
Oh, yeah.
that can cause irritation, and there's lots of different things that can cause someone to flare
I
up.
think the thing I really loved about it is it went through all the different kind of mental health conditions that you can have.
Yeah.
And it showed you the symptoms so that you could actually be able to read, oh, this one, you know, maybe it's a schizophrenic episode or anxiety or psychosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I found that fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah. Which was, and so helpful, really.
Yeah, because
I
it's
found
handy
that
just having
Shame I haven't
tools ready,
remembered it,
isn't it?
You probably would if you had to put it into place.
Totally,
practice,
yeah.
yeah.
I think I'm going to have to go and refresh it. Thanks, Beck.
You're welcome. But it's handy
basics.
to have those tools, isn't it? So that when you are facing something like that, even if you're walking along the beach and someone's having an episode, just to be able to know what to do in that situation is vitally important.
It
and
is.
It could be life-saving.
And how
even.
to calm someone down out of that, because you know your response can actually help bring somebody out of that. So,
And if you're agitated, they feed off you, don't
oh, absolutely, yeah.
And to identify what the problem is to begin
And just
with.
not reflect their behaviour, just, you know, kind of just keep it
Yeah.
very calm. So,
There you
I
go.
would recommend
done.
anybody to do mental health. Just make sure you remember it.
How'd you go, Kerry?
But I think every organisation needs to
Yes.
have
I
that
think so too.
awareness. So yeah,
Definitely.
And I think we're definitely moving in that direction. I think people are aware that they need to have this skill, because, you know, if you've got an organisation of, I don't know, even maybe 5 people or more, it's going to be impacting you somewhere.
I think awareness is coming through a lot more through film and just media as well, just showing things played out in movies and things, and just making that more. This is like, these are the people in our neighbourhood, like, and so it's more natural. It's just like we're all part of the community, so it's not unusual, is it?
No, and Dylan Alcott's doing that thing. Is it 20? I can't think of what it's called, but making sure that we now reflect, the Rural Society and advertisements and stuff like that, where people
Yeah.
with disabilities are on there. I think they're on for
Yeah.
Amy and a few others. Which
Well, it's a bit like with all the marketing and the advertising of, you've got pencil thin models, and we're seeing it a little bit more now that you have more of a natural shaped model and,
Which is
those
amazing,
sorts of
right?
things. Yeah, I
Great,
think
yeah.
that's, we're going in a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
hey?
definitely.
we certainly are.
So I think it's time for gold.
Danielle, you're a person of great adaptation and perseverance, but also of great love, because this love that you have for your children, which is a natural love of a mother, it's the mama bear coming out, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I love
it
that mums have this mama bear love, and whatever form our children come in, they get all our love. And
They
that's
do.
what you've done. And you've dedicated your life to making their lives better and to making other people who are going through similar also come into that space and be supported as well. So
Yeah.
that's the gold I see
Yeah.
in you.
And I always also mentioned the gratitude thing. So that's definitely gold that I see, is that there is gratitude that runs throughout your life. And I can see that uplifts you and brings
Yes.
you into a really great perspective of being able to probably manage some of the difficult things that you have to deal with on a daily basis. But the other area that I see is that you found purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's so important to you as a person, to you as an individual as well. It's not just about your kids. This is actually something you want to do and for the sake of others. So that sense of purpose is really prevalent in your life, and
So
it's
good.
great to see that you're using that for the benefit of other people.
Thank you.
Is that the gold you revealed at the start, Danielle?
At the start, I said just creating community, inclusion and diversity, but yes, definitely. You're showing me how I'm doing that, so,
Yeah.
that's a great thing.
Well, we've added a few more bits to that then for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
We've
much,
embellished.
ladies. It is. And you're both right. It is the love, and I never really thought about the gratefulness, but that's definitely there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gratefulness is gold, isn't it?
Yeah, it does give you purpose. So.
Yeah.
It took me till 50, but I'm here.
Better late than never.
That's it, right? You're never too old, are
That's
you?
exactly right. Yeah.
It's been so great having you in the studio
you
today,
so
Danielle.
much.
Thank you for
Thanks for
sharing your
sharing
story.
your
No, thank you, ladies. It's been wonderful.
Thanks for listening to the Gold Diggers podcast.
If you want to be a guest or you want to reach out, you can do so on our website, thegolddiggers.com.au.
We also share behind the scenes footage and giveaways across our socials on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
We dig for gold every Wednesday, so subscribe and follow now so that you don't miss a story that could change your life.
I need your my sugar.